Have you ever struggled trying to find archived satellite data for use in research or education? Well, you're in luck. Here's another MetPy Monday with Dr. Kevin Goebbert talking about how to find archived satellite data. So today what we want to do to start our search for archived satellite data is go to your favorite web browser and then go to your favorite search engine to go ahead and search the following string. And so we want to search satellites, data, archive, class. Now you might be asking yourself, why satellite data archive class? Well, class in this instance is not referring to a course, but to a specific server that is run by NOAA. And so when we go ahead and hit enter, we'll find that in our search, at least from the Google search engine, our first hit here is exactly what we want. We want to get to this NOAA Comprehensive Large Array Data Stewardship System, or class system server that's going to contain a whole bunch of archived satellite data. And so go ahead and click on that link that will take us to the website. And so we see here our wonderful website that contains, that is going to contain all of the archive data pretty much that we can think of for a whole host of different satellite platforms. But before we can really get into searching and then eventually ordering for data, which will be a part of a future MetPy Monday, we want to go ahead and register, because in order to order the data, we're going to have to register for this server system. And so go ahead, up here just under the NOAA symbol, we want to go ahead and click register. And then we want to go ahead and fill out this registration form. We see that there are only a very few limited required pieces here. So last name, first name, password, and then an email address to go ahead and register. Registration is free, so no need to worry about that. It should be a pretty quick process, and once you go ahead and register, you should be logged in. And so we'll go ahead and fill this out with some generic things. Joe Smith, password here, and then again, putting in an email address. So go ahead and fill this out appropriately for you. You only need at very minimum, the required sets here, which I've just filled in. And then you'll go ahead and click register here at the bottom of the page to register. Once you do so, you should, and hit this register button, you should be logged in. And I'm going to go ahead and log myself in so that I can search for and eventually order some data. And so I've saved my information for this website so I can easily log in. And once you log in, you'll see that then instead of the login and register links up here, we'll have just a log out. And so once we're registered, we could then really begin our search. But before we do that, we want to set some settings, some preferences for our account so that when we do go to order data, that it will come back in a very particular format for us. So go ahead, and on the left-hand side here, we have a whole bunch of tab icons, one of which here is this user preferences. And so go ahead and click on user preferences. And this will take us to a settings page where we can set a whole bunch of different things about how we can interact with this website. And so some of the key ones up here that we'll want to make sure are clicked appropriately are for receiving emails at various levels of your order completion. And so I currently have it set that I want to be notified when my order is received. Makes me sure that what I actually ordered has been sent to the server. And then to email me again when processing of my order is complete, such that then I can go ahead and grab the data. And so because of the way that this system is set up, we're not going to have data on command. We're going to have to order it, wait for it to be processed, and then put up in a temporary location from which we'll have 96 hours to retrieve it, to then go ahead and grab the data and bring it locally. But most importantly, what we want to do today is we want to scroll down towards the bottom of this user preferences website to where we see the gvar data extraction preferences here. And so we're ultimately looking for image data and this GVAR_IMG setting. This is what's going to allow us to plot our typical visible, infrared, and water vapor satellite imagery that we're going to use in future MetPy Mondays. And specifically, since we're going to want to use Python to display this data, we're going to want the output format set to netcdf. So by default, it was set to area, but we want to make sure that we set it to netcdf so that we can get this data back in this particular format to be easily read within our Python system. So once we've gone ahead and clicked this netcdf, we can leave the rest at the default settings for all the channels. For the highest spatial resolutions, we can click Update. Updating will then save our various settings so that then we can go ahead and search for data. And so we can click on Search for Data on the side here to get a listing of all the different data products that are available through this class server system. And so you'll see polar orbiting satellites as a possibility, our geostationary satellites as a possibility, sea surface temperature data as another possibility. So again, a whole host of different types of data are available from this system. Specifically, what we're going to look at here is for our geostationary data. Since we're going to want to plot up typical visible, infrared, and water vapor satellite imagery for over part of the CONUS, we're going to want to look for geostationary data. So if we go ahead and click on the plus sign, that will expand all the different types of data sets that are available from our geostationary settings. And specifically here, again, we're looking for that GVAR_IMG setting, and so that happens to be our second link here, which I've highlighted. And we can go ahead and find more information about that by expanding on this data set, the little plus sign to the left-hand side. Here now we see that, we have data that goes back until 1994, or the GOES-8 satellite. And so it even goes back specifically to August 31st, 1994. So let's go ahead and click on that link here to go ahead and go to search for that particular type of satellite data. And so once we click on that, that takes us to a particular search engine for this GVAR_IMG data. And we can see we can subset our data in a number of ways. We can spatially look for our data, we can temporally look for our data, and we can add some various options to give us only specific types of data. And so go ahead and keep this spatial setting to the max area. And so if you inadvertently click something in here and you subset that area, just go ahead and click this max area button on the right-hand side to set it back to the default. We can specify a range of dates. And so we're going to go ahead and look for a date from 2011, April, so 04-27. And we'll have that be the start date and the end date. So we'll go ahead and put in 2011, 04-27. We're going to look for only a certain amount of time. We're going to look for 19 to 20:59:59, so essentially a 2-hour period. And then we're going to want to look for GOES East data. And so we need to know what kind of coverage section that looks like in terms of our spatial domain. And so the coverage we're going to want then is the continental United States. That is a good setting to look for data that would be over what we would know as GOES East. If you were looking for something over GOES West, you would want to look over the Pacific United States. That would be the classic kind of synoptic scale setting for that. There are other types of coverages that are important if you wanted a full disk image, for example, or the whole northern hemisphere, and that you can search differently. Here then, we also need to look for our different types of satellite schedule routines. And so we're going to have the routine, click on that, and the rapid scan operation, because this day is going to happen that it's going to have rapid scan operation for part of the day. And then we can go ahead and search for a specific time or for a specific satellite. And so I just happen to know that from April of 2011, that would be GOES 13 for our GOES East satellite. So we're going to go ahead and click GOES 13. If you don't know which satellite you need, you can go ahead and highlight multiple of these by holding the Shift key and doing a typical selection of multiple items from any sort of kind of drop-down menu type thing. And so we're going to go ahead and reset that just to GOES 13 by clicking on a single image. And we're going to go ahead and click our search button. Once we do, we see that, we've got actually 2 pages of hits, 12 different hits, 12 different times of data that was available with all of our search characteristics, from which we could garner and select and download this data and order it in the future. You can also click on View Details to look at some very basic images available from the server just to see what it looks like to make sure it's covering the area that you want. It gives you some more information about data related to this satellite image as well. And so you can do that for any one of the times. In the next MetPy Monday, we are going to look at how do we actually order this data and then get it from the server. Thanks for listening, and we hope you join us next time.